Andy 10x frequently asked questions. Keep in mind, these are the questions that I got from our beta group so far, and keep in mind, if you have any issue, just feel free to let me know on our site. Question 1. How many times do you have to update the watch list? It really depends what type of the trader you are. In my testing, you don't need to update the watch list that often, especially if when you wake up, you get like 7, 8 decent setups looking. So you don't need to update that often. But in case you, let's say, start the day, work your watch list and you only got the 2 pairs, of course, I would try to update the watch list at least one more time. I would probably try to do it at the beginning of the new session because I'm trading, for example, UK session, and when US open, I'll try to rework my plan or add more things to my watch list. But you can do it once you see something change on our face scanner. Question: how do I set up push notifications? You can do it manually by going to the indicators and enable the push notification to true, press 1, 2, and 3, and then save the template. So in my opinion, this is not always going to be the fastest way. The easier way would be, in my opinion, to find a template. Let me find a template quick. And like we talked in the session where we explained how to add and remove indicators, like just load that ND10X template and search for the S1, 2, and 3 indicators. You can press S1 and it's going to tell you like here. Then find here push notification, change to true. Then we go below for the S2, the same thing. So just change this to true. And S3 to true. And then once you reload your template, and if you check the indicators, now we have the push notification available. If you are not sure how to set up MT4 with your phone, the process is simple. You go to the tools options, find the notification, click enable push notification, and get your MetaQuotes ID. You are going to get that MetaQuotes ID when you download the MetaTrader 4 app for your iPhone or the Android phone. Then go to the settings and messages. And at the bottom, you are going to see something like this. Also click test. And once that's done, just click OK. And you are going to start getting the notifications for all the setups. Okay, question 3. How many trades could I get per day? It's all up to how much time you are willing to work and be in front of your PC. Also, keep in mind, when we have a slower days, maybe you won't get that amount of the setups. For example, if you're scanning only 1 or 2 pairs, it's probably going to give you maybe 1, 2 alerts. But if you are scanning like 6 to 8 instruments, you can get a lot of alerts. Also, the amount of the setup is something subjective. There was a days I got like 10 to 15 setups and decent trades, but there were a time when I got only 3 to 4. But usually we'll always find something to trade. Like there won't be even one day when you can't get at least 1 to 2 trades, especially if you are a day trading. Question 4. Is it okay to trade in the Asian session? Yeah, it's perfectly fine because this system will work. Maybe I would adjust one thing. The rule about the average hourly move for a day trading, I would adjust to something like 11 to 12, just because you want to get a little bit more instruments in your watch list. Or if you want, you can swap that rule with the average daily move. So use that swing approach. So use the 50 as minimum, and then you can trade all the pairs same. Just keep in mind that during the Asian session, you won't get some really strong moves across all the pairs. So try to focus on the yen group, try to focus on the commodity pairs like Aussie dollar, Kiwi dollar, that can work, but entire yen group can work. And a lot of other pairs are usually moving, like everything is moving, but don't expect some crazy moves. Question 5. Why is my trade not entering? There is a lot of reasons of why you are not seeing a trade. The first thing I would like to check would be the algo settings. So right click on the chart, go to the expert advisor, go to the properties, and make sure that allow live trading is enabled and that here auto trading is on. Now, in case you see alerts saying you are in a trade, but you don't see the trade, the part that you can check would be inside of the terminal, that journal tab. Usually you're going to find error inside of the journal or the expert tab. Find the error and just send me the message and I'll let you know what's wrong. But usually you will see the settings either because your broker don't allow the algos to enter a trade. Keep in mind, this happen only in 1% of the cases, so I wouldn't worry that much about that. Or if you didn't set up something correctly, but I think for the most part, everything should be fine. But if you have any problem, like if you see something unexpected, just send me the message and we'll try to fix it right away. Question 6. What to do if phase changes? Do I change the watch list or close the trade? So let's assume that we are in the long trade because we were in the bullish phase 3. And while we are in a trade, we change the phase to bearish phase 1. I wouldn't close the trade because everything was set up according to plan when I entered the market. Only thing I would change would be my watch list. I wouldn't look for the new long trades. I would switch for searching for maybe a short trade, but I wouldn't close the trade. Question 7. Does the dashboard show phases per watch list or current time frames? And that's really the thing that everyone asked us. So over here, you are going to see the phase from here and not from this part over here. Like your USD, like we have 4 hours, 4 hours showing phase 1 bearish, while 15 minutes is phase 1 bullish. So it's only from this time frame. Question 8. My scanner is not showing any instrument. What to do now? So if either on this part you don't see anything like similar to this, it's usually going to be the problem with a suffix and the prefix part. So just open that market part and see if your broker, let's say my broker have here a .fx for every single pair. Now, in that case, all that you would need to do would be to go to the expert advisor properties and in the inputs to the suffix put that .fx. If you have something as a prefix like same like pro dot here, you would put in the prefix part pro dot or whatever it is. The second part that you can see, especially if you freshly install the MetaTrader 4, would be something like this, like gray part. And that's happening only when you never loaded that dollar, in this case dollar SEC data. So all you need to do would be to open the chart, just check a few time frames and go back. And you see now everything is working. So once your MetaTrader 4 get the data, everything will work correctly. But the first time when you install the fresh MetaTrader 4, it takes time. to download all the history. And when we don't have a history, our face indicator can't work. Also, for the people that just installed the first time MetaTrader 4, I suggest to go to the Tools History Center and download the data. This is going to save you time. Or if you want, you can just open all the pairs and just load all the time frames and go back. Question 9. Does it work on 5 minutes or 1 minute time frame? Our system will give you alerts on a 5 minute and a 1 minute time frame, but from our testing, even when we have a decent amount of the profit rates, usually the spread and the commission will kill the overall target. So I wouldn't really trade them. Like, it's going to work, but just because usually spreads and commissions can kill that small time frames, I would probably stay aside. 5 minutes is even fine, but 1 minute I wouldn't recommend, just because in most cases, especially with the S2 signal, you will never be able to cover just the spread. So I would just stay aside. Question 10. If I'm not getting many trades, can I reduce the volatility requirement? I wouldn't say that would be ideal thing to do, but if you want, you can use one of two options. The only times I would, let's say, allow the change of that part would be, first of all, if I know that there is a potential for a good volatility in the market. For example, we see in the Euro USD right here. So if we see that Euro USD have only 11 pips as average daily range, but we need 15. And that same day, we have a lot of news coming from the Europe or the US, then I would double this amount, and then that would give me 22, so it's better than 15, so we can trade. And I would probably suggest that you use that approach. But if you want, and like I said, I would probably do it only in the Asian session and go with that idea of lowering the volatility part just a little bit, not something crazy. Like go 11, 12, that can work. Question 11. If you see in example S2 trade buy and then you get S2 showing to sell shortly after, should you close the trade? Not really. First of all, when you see something like this, you are going to be more or less in some sort of a sideways move, and only one of the trades would pass all the required settings, at least what type of the phase we are currently in. So I wouldn't close the trade, only if that happened on, let's say, a higher time frame. So for example, if I got the S2 trade to buy and I'm in a long position on the 15 minutes time frame, but I got the S2 for a short on a 1 hour or 4 hour chart, I would think about closing the trade according to our rules. Question 12. How do I know if an algo is working? It's a simple part. What we are trying to see here would be this market over here, this smiley face to be smiley face. Like here, it's a sad face, sad smiley, so that means that it's not working. And like I said, it's usually going to be that you didn't allow the EA to work, so allow live trades and enable auto trading. Just check that, and that's all you really need to do. Question 13. How to set up a trade from my phone? Since you can't install all the indicators, or better to say any indicator on the MetaTrader 4 phone application, the only way that you can enter a trade with our tools from the phone would be to use some sort of a remote desktop. What I used for years would be a TeamViewer. And it's simple. You just install the TeamViewer on your PC and your phone. And once you connect from your phone, it's going to allow you to control your PC. And you can trade that way. But other than that, I'm sorry, but you can't do anything. You can do manual trades. Open the MetaTrader 4 application and place the orders manually. But I probably suggest that remote option. Also keep in mind you have a lot of options available. Just Google a little bit how to remote desktop from a phone and you'll find a lot of useful articles. Question 14. Do the RSI MACD and the stochastic RSI need to be on the chart for signal to work? Not really. They're there and you learn more about those three indicators. Will we continue to work a little bit more on our webinars? Like what more you can use them. That's why I'm leaving them here. But if you remove them from your chart, you can still operate and you'll still see the signals. Also, the most part that you are going to look would be from here. So you can always get away without those three indicators at the bottom. I suggest you leave them because you'll see a lot of useful ways, especially for that S1 place. You know that the RSI, for example, is good as additional confirmation. MACD is great for, also can be a good confirmation. I'll explain you on the first webinar how to use it. No worries about that. That's why I have them on the chart. Question 15. What technical tools do you like best to combine with the signals? For example, trend lines, channels, Fibonacci's, waves. I don't think it's that necessary to use anything else, especially since we are confirming a lot of them with the Fibo. You don't need to use anything else. I like to throw a trend lines and channels to give me that early exit points, but that's all. You don't need the Elliott wave there at all in my view, but trend lines and channels can work great. Also using something like candlestick formation can really boost your win rate. Like if you enter a trade, if you get the signal, you also maybe see a candlestick formation that support your view. You can use that in a combination. Also trend line channel test of support resistance can be a good places to be there, be around the trade when you hit. Let's say here we got the S2. And if I draw the trend line, I want to be alerted once we test this part. So I can see if we break it or not. So I know, okay, maybe it's time to early close the trade and things like that. So channels can work great. Formations can work great. Candlestick patterns can work there. So more or less every technical tool can work. Just don't try to overuse that power. That's why I prefer to use only trend lines and channels mostly, just because it's easy, simple, and can work really great with our system. Question 16. I'm noticing that sometimes the dot disappear. For example, at display of an arrow there was an S2 signal, give or take. I changed time frame, then the dot disappeared. What we have as an issue is that we have a large amount of the code for the ND10X, and MT4 is old platform, so don't use all of your PC speed. So you need to reduce amount of the signal that we are going to show. Also keep in mind that, for example, especially with the S2, this can be tricky since, let's see here, if we get at this point the S2, it's fine, just because candle closed and during this period of time we got everything that we wanted. Like we got the test of the EMA and all the setups like RSI, MACD, and the stochastic RSI was bullish. Like a few candles later, it's bearish. In case you get the alert right now, let's assume we got alert right now, but market move a little bit. And also RSI, MACD, stochastic RSI also change their readings from bearish to bullish. At the close of that candle, you are going to get a different reading. So when you reload the chart, we reanalyze everything, and maybe just because these changes happened, you're not going to get the same alert. That doesn't mean that the first alert was wrong or things like that. I always prefer to get fresh alerts, not the past alerts, just because that already happened. We want always to have the best and fresh setups only. So don't worry about that. Especially like S1, you won't see it always in the history, since when we tried that, it really slowed our MT4, so I don't want that kind of the feeling. But if you don't change the time frame, everything will be fine. Important. In case you experience any issue using ND10X, send me a message and I'll answer immediately or as soon as possible.